welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Marte, I come from Norway and I love makeup, and today I am so excited to be showing you guys the Dying Day palette from Titanium Foxes Cosmetics. And this is such a beautiful fall palette that's also leaning into some cooler tones, which I just love because it gives you a lot of options. So in this video I'm going to show you this palette with swatches, and I only did one look this time, but I will definitely do more on my Instagram. And I'm also going to show this palette side by side with the other palettes from this brand because I think there are some similarities. So just to help you kind of make your decision if you are considering getting one or maybe more, or just want to see how they look together. So that's gonna be this video, so keep watching if you want to see all that. Here is the color story swatched out, and I think this is such a fun color story, exactly my type of colors, to be honest. Especially this first part right here, it's just stunning warm fall shades, and I think this shade here is just so spectacular. It's very shifty and it has like this brown base with a golden green to blue shift, and it's just so shiny and beautiful. And I also just love this warm shifting shade. It has a slightly more cool toned base, I feel like, but still just so stunning, and I would love to use that together with like this deep purple for some really contrasting looks. And as for the last part here, it's like the shades that I don't necessarily use that often, but if I use shades like this, then these are the exact undertones that I would go for because they're very muted and cool toned, whereas the shimmers right here are just super spectacular, as you can see. Very shiny and shifty, so I'm very excited about that. I would like to mention though that this shade seemed a little bit oily, so I might just press it with some paper towel just to see if I can remove some of that extra binder. But other than that, I didn't really find any of the others to feel oily in any kind of way, so that is very promising for my hooded lids. And I just wanted to show you like from a different angle too before we get ahead and do the looks, or at least one look. I'm not sure how much time I got right now to do several ones, but oh, there's so many looks I do want to do with this palette because there's just so many possibilities right here, which I think you can also see just based on how many different colors there are to choose from. But let's do a look with this palette. For the look I'm going to create with this palette, I'm very tempted to be using this deep, I would say it's basically an indigo because it's not properly blue but also not properly purple. And then I also want to use this shade, which is like a kind of gray shade but a little bit blue as well. So I want to use those in the crease, and then all over the lid I want to use this fiery red, orange, green shade called Fall Spirit. And for the lower lash line I was thinking to add some contrast to these cooler tones with the more mustard shade here called Resting Leaf. So that is my plan. Maybe I'll use a little bit of this one on the lower lash line too, but we will see. I'm going to start out with the shade called Silence, and then I'll blend it into Day Shadow. I already applied my Sigma eyeshadow base, and I'm going to apply this almost all over the lid. I'm gonna not add it all the way towards the inner corner, but almost, because I want this to be a kind of sultry look with that contrast of the red orange shimmer on top. So I'm just applying this all over here. I'm gonna buff out the edges very lightly just so that I get a nice blend into that other shade. And I just think it will look really cool with this shade as a base for that red shimmer, because it just gives me the vibe of, you know, like the streets during fall when there's this warm glow from either like the sunset or the lights that are outside in the streets. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So I'm picking up the shade Day Shadow now, and I'm going to start with it here in the inner corner. You can definitely see that it's a more gray toned kind of shade. but these are very pigmented. I'm really liking the formulas. And this brush that I was using was the Glaminatrix EO2 brush, so it's just a fluffy brush. And then I'm going to take the Glaminatrix EO8 brush, which is a detailed brush with that shade Resting Leaf. And I'm wondering if I should use a little bit of the brown just like here in the outer corner so that I can blend it a bit better together with that blue-gray color. But I'm going to apply it at least over here and then a little bit here where I would have blended it anyway. But I think I will actually use the coolest brown. It is called Cone Down. That's a funny name. And I'll just apply this into the very outer corner of the lower lash line here, just to kind of make a bridge between the cool blue and the orange or yellow. I think this is a yellow shade. What do you think? Some people call it orange, but for me it's just a warm yellow. Now I'm really liking these colors together. I'm gonna do the other eye first and then I'll be ready for the shimmers. I'm going to apply a little bit of my Glam glue, and I'll have to be really quick as usual when I do that. So I'm just trying to disperse it a little bit without taking up too much of the shadow underneath. And then I just pick this shadow up here. It's like a very clear multichrome between like a red, gold, and green, and orange. It's really pretty. And I think if you wanted to use something a little bit more toned down, I think you could have used a little bit of that pink shade as well, just for the inner parts here, but I think I'm just gonna go all in with this shade. I think that looks really pretty. I might actually use the pink shade for the inner corner, but I'll just see how I feel once I got my face on. So I'll just go ahead and do that first, and then we'll see what else I end up using. Now this is how everything looks further away from the camera, so you can just see everything I paired with it. So for the other products I used, I did use the shade Butterscotch Martini for my lips. It's from the brand Elegant Cosmetics, I think they're called. I'm not sure if they operate still, but I just rediscovered all of the lipsticks that I have from them, and they're just so perfect for fall, so I decided to go for this one today. And for the lip liner that I used Agile, I think it's called. Yeah, from Glaminatrix. And sadly, I don't think they have these anymore, but I was lucky to get that one in PR. For the coral that I have on my lower lash line, it's actually the one from Glam Shop that is called Coral. And it is so beautiful, and these ones are so long lasting. It's literally saying that also on them. It's the long lasting eyeliner, and these are so underrated. I hope they still carry them. And I did use my favorite blush, and that is Glaminatrix Cosmetics Lavish. I just love how earthy and warm it is, although you can't probably see too much with my studio lightings here, but it's very pigmented, so I just blended out quite a lot. And I think that's everything I used. And I did end up using something for my lower lash line from the palette. So I used a tiny bit of this blue shimmer, but it appears a little bit more green, at least when I'm looking straight forward. And then I used the pink that I was talking about for the inner corner, but I only used a little bit because I didn't want it to look pink in the inner corner, but I think that it just gave a little bit of extra oomph to the look. Now about the formulas in this palette, they're definitely the kind of formulas that I'm used to from Titanium Fox's Cosmetics. They have beautiful mattes. They feel almost like silky and soft, but also like they almost feel pigmented to the touch when you swatch them. So I think they're really beautiful, so pigmented. They blend out so easily, like even this a super dark, almost blue shade, which I think those are some of the hardest mattes to formulate. So I'm very happy with the mattes, and the shimmers are of course absolutely stunning. Now I could actually do that on here. I can just try to press with a paper towel and just something that looks like a pan size, like this one for example, and then see if it soaks up a bit of the oil. So I'll just do that now and see if it actually has a lot of excess oil, because I kind of felt like it when I was swatching this one. Okay, so it definitely does have some excess oil. This is what came from like the first swipe, and you can also see I just used like this bronzer from Glam Shop, and you can even see like the oily residue on this one. So there's definitely a lot of excess binder, but if you haven't done it before, just take a little bit of paper towel and just squeeze with something that's about the same size as the pan, and then you will get out all that excess binder, because at least for me with hooded eyes, it will crease if I wear something like this on my eye. Because of all the oils, it will just gather everything up in my crease. This is what I ended up with, and you can see I tried the orange one here, and this is how it's gonna look if it's the formula that I prefer. It's not gonna have a lot of excess binder. So, but now this is basically fixed for me. It is a slightly flakier formula, so I'm guessing that's why they chose that kind of oily formula, or like adding extra binder to it, but now it's perfect for me. And about the color story, I just love this. You can really get so many different looks with this, and the shimmers are of course spectacular. I particularly like all of these four here, and I think this one is really cool if you want something super earthy, because it has a slight blue shift to it as well. But all in all, I just think there's so many things you can do with this palette, so I think it's a super amazing palette, to be honest. I just love their color stories. They always make color stories that I love, so it's really nice to find a brand that just has the exact same taste in color stories that I do. Now, since I'm only doing one look for this video, I wanted to just show you some color combinations from this palette that I think are really beautiful together. So this is basically what I did today in this look. So basically I just didn't add the darkest shade. Oops, let me just add that one too. So there. That's basically what I have on right now. So it's just a mix of like warm and cool tones. And then here, this is just a bunch of shades that I think are really beautiful together. You don't necessarily need all of the mattes, but the mustard with the burgundy or the mustard with the green, I think that's just so stunning. And then we have the warm shade that I also have on today from my first look. And then this one is just the most beautiful green brown shade, and it also shifts like a blue from different lightings, but I think, or angles, but I don't think I'm able to show you right here without bringing out my flashlight. But yeah, this is just beautiful, beautiful fall colors. You could do something more burgundy with that light pink shimmer. I'm just trying to show you that shift. So that is an option. You could also do the green with the teal next to it, and then the beautiful shimmer that is in the bottom row next to them. I think that would also be really pretty. You could do a brown with the green, and then this is the first shade in the second row of the palette, and I think that's also really beautiful, very earthy. And I just had to add the mustard with the brown and then the warm shade as well. I think that's just super beautiful. So those are just some different color options that I would opt for when using this palette. So I hope that you liked seeing that as well, even though I didn't do any looks with these color combos. But I do think you can see that there are a lot of different things you can do with this palette. So I'm going to do my best to show both of the palettes next to each other. So here is the new one, Dying Day, and here is the previous one that they released called Hidden Peace. And I think you can see that they are different, but they both kind of have this mix of warm and cool tones. So you can definitely see some similarities. And for example, the orange shimmer might look a little bit similar. And I think the blue shimmer might look a little bit similar down here. And obviously there are some greens, and I mean, I don't think they're that similar when it comes down to each shade. I don't know what you feel about that. But I think they're definitely different enough. But maybe if you have a preference, then maybe you don't need both. I don't know which one I would have chosen because I absolutely love this one, but I also really love this one. I don't know which one is my favorite, to be honest, and I think these might be my two favorites from the brand. But yeah, let me see the other palettes next to it. So here is Jay's Joy next to the new one. And again, you have some of the warm shadows and some cooler tones. I feel like this one is a little bit more cooler tone. It has more purples and blues, but it still has a few pops of like warmer shades. And I mean, this one isn't super warm, but I feel like it's almost half and half, or at least a little bit more neutral with the shades that are most to this side. It's a little bit hard to show right here. But yeah, I think they're also different enough, but you can't tell that it's like a little bit similar. But all the shades themselves I find are different. But yeah, at least here you can see them next to each other. Now here is, here is Grackle Chat, which is definitely a bit deeper in my opinion, but again, you have something blue, you have something purple, and you have something orange, so I think that's like where it begins and ends with the similarities. I don't think the shades themselves are too similar, and for example, this red shimmer here is a bit darker and a lot cooler toned, I think you can see, and this one doesn't have an orange. So yeah, I think they're different enough. I mean, the most similar one is probably this one, and again, this green shimmer is a lot cooler toned. This one is a little bit deeper and warmer. So yeah, again, you can see them next to each other here. Now, I don't really think Quiet Poppy, I think it's, no, Poppy Quiet, I don't think that one even is remotely similar, but I mean, you still have a few blues and you have some warmer tones and a few pinks, but if you wanted to see them next to each other, at least here you have them, but they're definitely different. At least I would personally not think of these as too similar. This is way more of like a lighter, more pastel, spring, almost summer palette, and this one is more of a fall, kind of cooler weather palette to me. Yeah, but there we have them. Now, just the last comparison that I wanted to do was the Muse palette from Cosmic Beauty, because I was thinking of this one when I saw like the mustard and the more blue purple shades in here. That's when I thought about this one, but honestly, I think it's worth it to pay a little bit extra to get this palette with more special shimmers, because I don't really see myself using almost any of these shimmers. I've just used the shade up here, which is more of a duochrome, and it's nice and pretty, and this one down here, but the others, I think there are just they're a little bit boring. So if you're like me and you like more special shimmers, then definitely get something like this instead that will have those special shimmers. And I do think that the matte quality is really good in both of them. I do kind of feel like this is a little bit more pigmented, but you can definitely get like the same amount of pigmentation from both of these palettes, I think. So I wouldn't really steer away from this one just based on that. It just depends on your personal preference. So for me, I think I would prefer this one actually, but when it comes to the shimmers, I definitely prefer this one. I think that's it for this video. As I said, I will probably do a lot more looks with this during the next few weeks and months, and probably the next year, that I will probably post on Instagram. So if you're interested in seeing more, then just follow me there. Anyway, I would love to hear what your thoughts are about this palette. Are you planning to pick it up, or are you still just eyeing it from afar? Let me know down in the comments, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!